Alright, so our file users.php is pretty much the same as the files as the post manager, especially the function to save, to add new posts to the database. So basically what we have to do here, and I have already created a file, so it's empty, and I cleaned up everything else. We're only going to need the PHP inside it. So first thing we need to do, we need to include our connection to the database. Then we need to do our statement to insert data. Again, if you don't remember how to do that, just go back to Post Manager, and you are going to see that we have, I have a lot of other things in this one. This one. So you're going to see that we have some steps to take. We're not going to need the global here, but we need something like this. We need to create a variable to receive the values of post. So let's do that. So username is equal to post, and check our user admin. You see that the name here is user, so this is what we need in the quotation marks. Password is going to be equal to post pass. Done. Then let's create our statement. Statement is equal to connection, prepare, and let's use caps. So we're inserting to, remember, we're not inserting to posts anymore, we are inserting to the table we just created that's called users. And the values, we are using auto increment, so we are going to go for default as the first one, where it's the ID. Then let's call user, let's keep username, better to keep it all uniform, and password. Next step, we need to bind our statements. So username is going to be the variable username. Good. Then okay, let's check our slide again. Correct, that's it. Again, go back to your post manager and compare to see if it's similar. Yes, okay. This is fine. If you want to add some header in the end to redirect to the admin or back to user admin, that's fine too. Okay, let's save it and let's test it out. Let's see if it's working. I'm going to create a username and password, both tested. No error message, that's always good. We check the database and let's see the table, and we see it's here. So it's recording both our username and password as expected. Okay, so we're done. Not quite. The thing is, as I told you guys in class, if you're storing the passwords like this as text, anyone who hacks into your database gets every one of your users' passwords. So you should never do that. Okay? So we are going to hash the password, which is basically one way to encrypt it. That is not, it's possible to decrypt, but it takes a really long time. Okay, and it's the best way to do it nowadays. So let's try this first, and let's test a little bit. So we are going to first comment everything in our code that's stored in the database. So the whole part about the statement. And to create a comment, I'm just going to get a slash, a star, and then star and a slash in the end. So everything that's in this block here is now being ignored. Good, so that's step one. Let's do now the second variable and call it hash the password. Was it like that? Yes. And we are going to use this function here from PHP, password hash, the variable that is receiving the password via post, and we are going to use this thing here. So this never changes. So password hash, first the variable, and password default, everything in capitals, and this is important. Okay. Now let's just print the content of this variable just to test it. Print R. Okay. Save this as it is right now. Go back to your user admin. And let's try to get here the same password used before. And see. So if you enter the word testy there, that's what you're gonna have. So it's encrypted, and this is what you're going to keep in your database. Okay? So let's do this. We're going to change now your file just to remove this. We remove the comments. Good. And now, instead of using binding password to the statement, I'm going to bind the variable hash the password, because that's what I want to be there. Okay? So let's test it again. So I'm going to create a different user. So I'm writing here username user, password, password. The worst password ever. When I send it, let me check the database. Okay, this is what happens when you type password, okay, as your password. Very good. But so how are we going to make sure you get into the website? We're going to create a login page, and it's again a form, a form as we've been doing before, but the only difference is that this time we're not going to have an action. because we're going to check the password right there on the same file. So let's see. So I'm going to create it as login.php. Alrighty. It's pretty much the same form as we have inside the user admin. So what I'm going to do, I'm basically just copying the form, pasting it in here, inside the body, of course. Change the title up here to login. And we need to remove this action here. Okay, fast, easy. So let's now check the password. First thing we're going to do, remember we're not using action, so we need the set block. In this slide I use here two conditions at once. You don't need that, you could check only once. Then we are going to again include connection to the database and get the variables as we're used to. Things are going to get new down here. We're going to see what happens. So after the form, I open the PHP. Always start with include. And yeah, I was forgetting the set. Okay, so all the PHP block is only going to run if you send something via post. If you didn't, it's going to be just the form. Okay, save it. So let's connect to the database here, and we're going to do the select. It's very simple actually. You just select everything from users, where username is equal to the username typed. Okay, so we're going to start from there, and then we're going to check the password.